Hello, everyone.
Hiya.
Hi.
Sharing it on Facebook, so it just takes a while to boot up. How's everyone?
Yeah, fine.
Good, thank you.
Won't be a second. Who's having a party today?
No.
No.
Oh,
I'm doing afternoon tea for 21 people.
in your house?
No, I'm going to drop it off at everyone's door.
Kate's done it.
Nice.
Kate's done it for a family, and I did drop the hint saying, "What about extended family?" And then she completely ignored it. And then she ignored that bit. Did try to drop the hint. Right.
You can.
We've got a notepad.
Yeah.
Off work today.
Yeah.
Oh, just going there now. Right, I'm just hooking it up to Facebook still, and it doesn't seem to want to. What are you making, Larry? What are you making or baking?
Well, I've got all different sandwiches, sausage rolls, quiche, and then I've cheated. I bought a cake, but I'm going to do like little meringues and stuff as well. I've not told them I'm doing it, so if it all goes wrong, it doesn't matter.
Pretend it never happened.
Yeah.
Right, that should be. Done. Good. Should be live. Doesn't work on Facebook, then doesn't matter.
Just had a notification to say you're live.
Well, if you click on that, Gemma, your face will be on Facebook.
No thanks.
Turn it off now. Right. Pop you all on mute. I'll share the screen. If you get any questions, switch mute off and ask away. Right, so it's going to be for about 20 minutes, 25 minutes. Obviously, if there's questions, and just ask as we go through it. I'll write stuff on the whiteboard as well, so you should be able to see both the screen that I'm sharing and the whiteboard behind as well. But just want to go over main topics of motivation and why you need more, the motivation, willpower, why willpower is not what you want to be running on, and then also some little strategies and tips that you can start using to start taking control and building positive momentum. So some little points on here, some stats about 92% of goals that are not achieved, which is an absolute mad number. 50,000 thoughts people have per day on average, and 40,000 of those, so a big chunk of those, are negative thoughts, which is why going through this, it's more important that you need to be in a positive environment. and work on changing your environment, because quite easily you can be swayed towards having a bit of a down day, a rough day, if 40,000 of 50,000 thoughts are negative. So the more we control our environment, the more chance we have of operating on a positive note while those numbers are still happening. We can't affect those numbers, but we can affect how we react to those numbers. A little stat below that as well, 92% of New Year's goals fail by 15th of January, which is 15 days, so just over 2 weeks. And the reason that happens is what we'll go through shortly, which is goal setting. So goal setting is really important. A lot of stuff I'm talking about in this is all stuff from psychology and proven methods. It's not just airy-fairy hippie stuff, which you may well think some of it is, but it's all proven and it will make sense when we go through it. Pauline just sent me a message saying she's knocked herself out, sorry. I'm hoping that means you've gone off screen and not just knocked yourself out. Right, so the last point on this screen is goals held in the mind are more likely to be jumbled up with all the other thoughts every minute than the average human being experiences. So that is done by how many thoughts we have per minute, and that's a breakdown of the average thoughts a day. So 50,000 thoughts a day, 40,000 negative. And if we just decide that we want to do something, have it in our mind, then that gets jumbled up and mixed up with all the other 50,000 thoughts a day. So it's like a needle in a haystack, trying to keep that in the front of your mind while you're trying to battle with 50,000 other things that are going on in your head, both consciously and subconsciously. So a lot of time, like right now, we'll be thinking of things which we won't even realize or won't even put that much effort into thinking about. Right, so these are all things that if you Googled or wanted to start a journey, doing something, whatever, it's not down to just fitness, it's everything. So if you to start setting goals, then that's all well and good. If you start planning, then that's all well and good. If you just decided you're going to start positive thinking, then that's well and good. Affirmations is like repeating something or telling yourself or trying to get yourself to believe you can achieve something or something is true. So the popular affirmations which you'll see on the internet is where you can keep telling yourself you're going to do something, you're going to do something, you're going to do something, or you're going to achieve something. All these can be okay as long as it's done in a way or in a way that is going to be more effective, which we'll go through on the next slide with you. So goal setting is all well and good, planning is all well and good, positive thinking is well and good, and affirmations are well and good. But if you are just running on those alone and don't really have a reason why, or you're just going on willpower, then these are just going to be short-term effects which don't really lead anywhere. So goal setting is important as long as we do another thing with it, which we'll go through, which cements it and makes it happen. So the odds are against you before you even start. So only 10% of people will have to make a change, and you've got a 9 to 1 chance of that happening. So the odds are against you before you even start. Now on the board, we're going to dive into this again later on. So this is you, this is me, and this is you trying to do your goal setting. It's just a stick man with some arrows, just in case you can't see, it's nothing impressive. All these are external factors. These are the whole world that is going to be against you, your environment, trying to put you off, trying to make you come away from what you want to achieve or what you're saying you want to achieve. And this is why the motivation at the bottom, hence why your motivation is stretched and will break, because you are just this tiny little thing and you have so many other things which are trying to impact you, sway you, bring you off track, take control, send you down the wrong path, whatever you want to call it. It's all happening trying to distract you from what you want. Now, if we go through goal setting, the affirmations and positive thinking, it's all well and good, but then when you have too many of these, then it's just going to happen that you come off track, you lose motivation, your motivation disappears, it's been stretched so far that ends up breaking, and then you turn back to old habits or your old ways, or you just admit defeat to your environment and that starts controlling you. So some of these factors can be anything. So let's have stress, from work, you've got worry, family, daily habits, environment, which we said. Anything can be a stress. Money, situations. There's loads and loads of external factors which put stress on you or try to change your environment. So this is why, if we're up against something before we start, that's why the motivation is short-lived, and that is why only 92% of people are going to get to their goals. Because like I said on this screen, only 10% of people actually make the change because we're up against it before we start. So if we were to set some short-term goals, some medium goals and some long-term goals, which are all heard of before in the past, again, that's all well and good, but if you set a short-term goal and you have too many of these stresses, which are on the whiteboard, then you're going to fall off track. If you set a medium-term goal, then you're going to fall off track. If you set a long-term goal, then you fall off track. If we were to get rid of a length, and we've spoken about this before, having a reason why is really important. So it's the foundation and it's at the top of the pyramid as well. It's what everything's built on, it's what we're trying to achieve. And it's a reason why. And this is where I said before about it might sound a bit hippie-ish or a bit woo-woo, a bit aha, but it is what is needed and it's your reason why. When we have so many things trying to change our environment, our setup, our stress levels, work, worry, family, daily routines, money, different situations, then it becomes a lot easier to battle off these and still carry on with what we want because we've got a longer term vision in mind and we've got a reason why. If we do set goals, and like I said before at the start, they are good when done. It's okay to set a short-term, medium and long-term goal if it is a broken down version of your reason why, and that is the main driver. So if we have a driver subconsciously and consciously, it's your reason why. Whether you know what that is or not will determine the reason, or sorry, the results that you get. And here's a little interesting fact. The number one reason why people don't hit their goals, and it was put down to willpower. So trying harder moves you further away sometimes. So if we're trying to run on willpower, then it's because we don't really know 100%, or we're not 100% sure on what it is that you want. If we're running on willpower, we're just trying to push ourselves and drag ourselves to a result that we don't really know what we want. If we have a reason why, then things are a little bit easier because we don't have internal conflict of trying to battle with all of these things going on and just trying to push it off and saying, I must stay strong, I must carry on, I must achieve this, I must keep going. The willpower, I'm motivated, I don't want to lose motivation. When you have a reason why and there's no decision to be made or there's no thought process around it, you've just got one question to ask yourself, and when you've got the answer to that, then it is just another simple question. Should I do this? Is it going to get me closer to what I want and the reason why I'm doing it? Yes. No, and no. It's not a situation you put yourself in and start having lots of different questions or excuses or external stresses. So if we've got a reason why, then willpower doesn't have to be pushed. We just work on the reason why, because that truly motivates us to get the results we want, and it pushes us because it's bigger than any number, any short-term result, any medium result, any long-term result. It is just a reason why we are going to commit to changing our environment, building our environment, and getting results that ultimately get rid of all the internal conflict and help us battle with the 40,000 negative thoughts a day. So the knock-on effects from a health perspective of not having a reason why and just trying to force yourself through on motivation. Let's say today, for instance, I've got all the best motivation in the world to go for a run. I'm going to go get a run done. And then someone comes around with some nice pastries baked for V-Day, drop them off at my door, Larry, if you're going to. And then all of a sudden, the willpower's gone because I've got an internal conflict, which just asks me, do I want to sit any of these or do I want to go out for the run? First time, you might be okay with that. And then each time you have another little battle or conflict with yourself, then it becomes tougher and tougher and tougher to palm off what you're trying to resist. So it's like that phrase there isn't an addiction, but it's like going to addiction and things like that. It's not having the willpower to stay away from something. It isn't the answer. It's just completely short term because your willpower will burn out like a muscle, it'll fatigue, and then you end up back to square one. So the knock-on effects from not having a reason why are listed here. So we've got health issues, we've got sleep, we've got energy levels zapped, and we've got stress. Internal stress, external stress, stress that affects organs and glands in the body, your brain, your mind. So if we look at what's going on right now, I don't want to get into too much about what is happening right now, but all of the information so far has been provided is people keeping well, keeping fit, looking after themselves and trying to lead a healthier lifestyle. That is where all the key benefits have come from. So people are saying, what can we actively do? Then it's keeping active, it's being healthy. So it doesn't matter what is going on. If we can always try and prioritize ourselves and look after ourselves first of all, then we reduce all of these 4 things. So going on to the reason why in the pyramid, I've got some questions there, which you need to ask yourself. And it should be a tough one. If you've got an answer which pops up straight away, it's either because you've done work on this before and you know it, or it's not the right answer. It's one of the two. So do you know what you want? These are a couple of things here which can distract you or pull you away from what you want or give you a reason why you're not currently getting what you want. So your environment, which is your setup, it's the people you knock about with, it's how your house is set up, it's what you do, your daily habits and routines, it's basically everything around you. And like I've just wiped off the board a little stick man, your environment could be one of the external stresses. So going back to a choice or an option, someone constantly giving you foods that you probably don't want to eat, but then you feel like, oh, I really want to, or I don't want to be the odd one out, for instance, then that is part of your environment, and trying to take control of your situation environment is going to help you in the long run with getting closer to what you want. You're not invested in yourself or what you want, and again, it goes back to not knowing the reason why. This one, third one, is what we've mentioned already. Your reason is not strong enough. So it's okay having a why. If I say to you now, what is the reason why? And you're like, yeah, I know what it is, and that's it. If you find yourself in a couple of weeks back to square one, then you need to seriously rethink that. So I've had mentors in the past. I've got a mentor at the minute, and he drums into me every single morning of trying to remember this. And then you don't act on trying to be motivated. You don't act because you think, oh yeah, I'm motivated to do that. You act because that is a reason why something needs to happen, and you can work on doing the things that you need to do to keep this going and get to there. So this is stuff needs to be done daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, to keep going and getting closer and closer to this. In our goal setting events that we do in the studio when it's open, this is why we do some goal setting. We work on the mindset, but then we also make a plan. A plan that doesn't head towards this is just a load of stuff written down on the paper, which will eventually get binned or lost. So if we can work off your reason why, and then you can make the plan. And this is probably the most overused word at the minute, is planning, because planning's all well and good, but it's nothing without action being taken on it. A plan should be detailed and have things you need to do daily, things that just happen, routines, habits, weekly check-ins, some accountability for yourself. And then this last point on here, let's get rid of debate. There is no debating or no decision making really, or internal conflict with this, because you know exactly what you want and the reason why you're doing all of this. The plan is just a smaller breakdown of this. And then in the plan, you've got small term targets to hit and check-ins to make sure you're on track. And then there's no debate or any question with it all because it's written down in front of you of what you need to do. If we pick some areas, so like 5 pillars of health as I see them, is exercise, so nutrition, sleep, stress, and energy. So these are 5 pillars, and the easiest way to start making your plans is to rate them out of 10, and whichever one is the lowest rated is the first place your energy and attention goes to start working on your plan. If these form part of your reason why, then that's what you need to do. If they don't, then miss them out, find out what needs to be done, find out what is happening the least, and that's your starting point. If we were working on these 5 points, if we had exercise and nutrition at a 9 out of 10, a 9 out of 10, then everything else was 2s, then that's not a great setup. It'd be better to have 5s across the board than to have 2 which are nearly done, and then 3 others which are out of control or not in sync. So looking at certain areas and making a plan around that. But now if I wipe it off and work backwards, it comes back to what we've been saying so far, which is a reason why. So no matter where we end up or where we start from, this is the most important part of this. And this is why, if you're running on willpower or hoping to get motivated, then you're not going to get motivated. You might have a short-term burst of motivation, but it's just going to keep throwing you on it, off it, and keep recycling yourself around until you find this. So, a couple of things that you can do. Invest in you, and that means a lot of different things. It could be financially, it can be investing in yourself time-wise, it could be going out and doing things for you. Getting rid of opposition, and that means stuff that's opposing your routines at the minute or causing the internal conflict. So if you're not in alignment with what you want, then you're operating on this side of the path when what you want is here. And then you keep battling with all little conflicts, because you're not in alignment of where you want to be going. Setting a timeline and making it public. So this goes to a bit more of goal setting once we've got the other things in place. Now I put them on just purely because it helps me out. I know if I've got a deadline or something to work on, then I'm more motivated to do something because I know what I want to hit, I know when I've got to do it, and then that creates the motivation, the drive, the drivers to go away and do it. The easiest way I look at this is a timeline for a running program. So if I use the one I had, so in May, it should have been 180 mile running trip. Was it a trip, running hell, that I was going to do. And then the training program was built up in different phases. And then it gets rid of the questions for me because it's put in my calendar. And I know, for instance, if I'm still doing it today, I'd wake up, right, 15 miles is in the calendar, or today is rest. You just open it up and it tells you exactly what to do, and it's all in alignment with why, and you just go out and do it. It's not a case of, oh, I might do it, or I might cancel it, or I might just stay in bed and miss it. If I don't do it, then there's got to be a question asked of why I wanted to do it in the first place, and is it truly what I want? That's why I find it a lot easier to work on a program or a plan, because it's a short-term version of my why, and I just open it up. There's no debate. It tells me what to do. I just run out and go and do it, and that's it. What I spoke to someone about this morning was a bit of mindset around all of this, and it was to do with running as well. So when things aren't as structured or routine, or you have a problem creating a routine because of what's going on at the minute, then setting yourself a weekly goal. So if we keep it to running like we were this morning, 15 miles 10 miles, and 5 miles. Putting this in this person's diary at set days was causing that much stress that it wasn't worth doing it, because they were worried that they might not be able to get it done at a certain time. And if it was booked in at 6:30 in the morning and they missed a 6:30 because they had to get on a call to work, then it threw the rest of the day off. So all we did was change this round and have some flexibility with it and put it over 7 days. So one day was the 5 miles. As long as you get that in at any point during the week, that's fine. So if the day was really hectic, it's the least amount of work that needs to be done and get done on that. And then that leaves a bit more time, less anxious feelings and less stress and worry about getting it completed, because it's spread over 7 days. The important thing about this is that we take into the situation, environment, what's going on, and everyone's got to be realistic with what they can get done. So if we look at next week, no one knows what's going to happen next week until Sunday night. So if you set yourself a target based around being allowed to go out and work out for 5 hours, for instance, and on Sunday nothing's changed, then it's not being realistic and it's not creating a plan around our current environment. So let's have a routine which is honest with ourselves. It's realistic, because there's no point in setting realistic targets and goals, because it's just going to make us feel rubbish and go back to the feeling that we said at the start, which is number one reason why people say they failed, which is willpower. But it's not about willpower, we've already gone over that. So last couple of slides before we finish up. Let's create conditions that work with us, make things easier, and just work in alignment to what we want. There's 2 paths to go on, and last month, what month are we in? 8th of May. So at the beginning of April, there was a video done about momentum. So we have 2 ways of building momentum. We're always doing something and going towards something. So we have a positive and negative momentum. Usually, the negative momentum is done when we are not in alignment with what we say we want or what we truly want. So if you don't know what you want, you'll be on here. If you're just trying to push yourself through every day, you're going to be on here. And if you're just battling with a lot of internal conflicts, then you're on here. Whereas if you're operating from a wide basis and you know exactly what it is you want, things become a little bit smoother, the path's a little bit flatter, and there's not as many potholes along the way. So if we can start changing our environment, and that is everything from our homes, our headspace, our thoughts, how we work, everything, it gives us a better chance than being a 9-to-1 shot of getting our results and not being part of a 92% that don't achieve them. Let's work in alignment with it and not battle against it. Otherwise, we're going to be on this journey a lot longer than what we need to be. Final point. So going back to what I said at the start about being, it's a bit bigger so people can see it. About being a bit hippie-ish and a bit out there, counting your wins and where to start. So this is quite a big thing, and I'll be completely honest, I do it in fits and starts with this, and I try to push the group as much as you can. The group that I'm in does this every single day, and I don't always take part in it. I'd rather do it in the morning rather than the evening, but the best thing to start changing around your perceptions of things and your way of thinking, so the 40,000 thoughts that are negative out of the 50,000, making the most out of the small chunk, which is 10, or paying more attention to 40,000, the best way of working on this is counting your wins. And this is done really simply, and it is such a simple but such a powerful tactic. Wins. A win is a win, no matter how big or small. If you win 10-0, you win 1-0. If your win today was making the bed, or if your win was going out and running a marathon, win is a win. There is always going to be a win, no matter how bad your day is. There's always something you can find. If you can't find them, then this is just going to highlight a lot of the things we've been over at the beginning of working and battling with the internal conflict, working in alignment and working out of alignment. So everyone's had 3 wins already this morning. So I'll keep mine simple. I've had a brew, done a workout, and successfully this is being streamed on Facebook. I hope. That's it. There's always 3. And then tomorrow, what you do, you write down another 3 wins. Day after, you write down another 3 wins. And slowly and surely, this is going to be starting to change around your both subconscious and conscious parts of your brain and thoughts to think more positive and in alignment with what it is you want to achieve. Another bonus one is plan your wins for the next day. So if tonight you put your 3 wins down, write down 2 wins that you want to get tomorrow. If you're really struggling and you're going through the worst situation in the whole world right now, keep these really, really small and don't put any pressure on yourself. And then if you have bigger wins, then it's even better. Making a brew, eating some breakfast, and you've watered your plants. They could be 3 wins. You could have run a marathon, PB'd on a deadlift, and cooked for the next 14 days and planned your meals. It's completely up to you. Sometimes it's going to be easier to see the wins than others. That is always going to be the case. Sometimes you need to work a little bit harder in finding the wins, but they're always, always there. And that's just a little tactic which can start helping straight away, and you can do from this morning and plan your wins for tomorrow. So one of the big takeaways that I've written down is about the willpower aspect, and it's that if you're still running on willpower, then it's because you aren't 100% sure on what it is that you want. So the first step you need to take, even before this, is like I've said in a lot of videos, a lot of events, a lot of workshops, is finding out the reason why. 1 second. So this is why we have something like this in the studio, which is a little booklet, which is Studio's Why, which makes it a lot easier to keep working every day, keep making plans, keep hitting targets, keep hitting goals, because everything is written down in here that we want to achieve for being here and we want to get done. And basically our reason why. So we've got what we believe, the reason why we are here, the reason why we're doing what we're doing, and what we are hoping to achieve over the next couple of years is all written in there. So if you ever get stuck, then it's just a case of opening that, and it's just a reminder of the reason why. And this is the foundation of making choices, decisions based on this. You need a personal one of these. Any questions? If you've got any questions, pop yourself off mute. To make sure I'm still in the Facebook group, still live. Oh yes. Right, so I'm going to close up. I'll give you some tips to start doing. I'll list them in order of priority. So ask yourself the reason why, and then ask yourself why, and then ask yourself why. By 3 or 4 times of asking yourself, you would have narrowed it down to an exact reason, or it'll catch you out. So if you put something here, which is just like materialistic or not something you want to hit, then you'll catch yourself straight out the next time you ask yourself why. And then to go even deeper into it, you ask yourself why again. And then after doing it 3 times, we get to a point where we truly find out what it is we want to achieve, and that becomes our reason why. If it's still the same as the first time you've written it down, then you need to keep going until you get something different. And then from there, all your goal setting, all your planning, if you want to do that, then that should fall as a little mini breakdown of these. If you want to make little targets, they are shorter term versions of this. So if you do set a 7-day target, it's something which you end up carrying on past the 7 days. It's not just, right, I'm going to hit this in 7 days, and then once you've hit it, let's say I want to improve my sleep. You improve your sleep in 7 days, right, done that. Tick, sleep's been sorted. You don't then just stop that, you carry on doing what you've done to improve that, and then you work on another area whilst doing that. So these are just short-term goals which in the longer run turn into a why and help it become a reality. Right, half an hour, 35 minutes. This has been recorded and it'll get posted up on the YouTube channel for you to watch back. So if you do get any questions, or you get questions later on today, you get stuck with anything, or you can't find this, then let me know. People in our Facebook group have got a whole section on this in the units part, which gives you a breakdown of how to find this and the easiest way to start actioning it. So if you get stuck with it, either ask, or if you're in our Facebook group, not this one that's been shared into, our private one, then go into the unit section, and there's lots of videos on this there. But what's on the screen right now, Counting Your Wins, is a pretty good place to start. Have a nice weekend. I'll see some of you in less than 2 hours. Any questions at all? Send them over, and I'll see you all soon.